A new bill in California says that robots will be accompanying you in your driver's seat whether you like it or not. California Senator Scott Wiener, who is a weirdo, Democrat, San Francisco, introduced a new bill officially known as SB 961 as a part of the Safer California Streets legislation package, which we'll get into how they name this stuff in a little bit. The package aims to reduce traffic deaths and injuries statewide. Now, just to be clear, I am anti-traffic death and traffic injury of all kind. Not even statewide, I would go as far as to say nationwide, and even globally wide. I am anti-people dying in car accidents. But of course, then you have to ask the question, as you would with any dangerous thing, at what cost? If you eliminate all of the things that go into traffic-related deaths, you would effectively eliminate all things. There is a hilarious, I don't even know, fable, I guess, a funny fable. I don't know if fable is the right term necessarily, but it basically asks a computer, get rid of all the traffic. How do you get rid of all the traffic? And the computer comes back and spits out an answer, says, well, you have to kill all the people, which of course is not a feasible and workable solution, but technically speaking, it would work. This new bill in California would require every passenger vehicle, motor truck, and bus manufactured or sold in the state to be equipped with speed limiter technology starting in the year 2027. So in other words, if you make or sell a vehicle in the state of California, you will be required to have a limiting device that does not allow you to go over 10 miles an hour. The technology would electronically limit the speed of the vehicle to prevent the driver from exceeding the speed limit by more than 10 miles per hour, according to the bill's text, which I think is very funny. California, in their attempt to govern themselves into a better society, which has only made society worse for the inhabitants of California, puts a bill together that says this will stop your car from speeding 10 miles an hour over. So if the speed limit is 65 miles an hour, it'll kick in at 75 miles an hour? Look, I'm against this as a whole, wholeheartedly. But if I were to make a point for the other side, wouldn't you just have it kick in at the speed limit? Well, and the reason you wouldn't do that is because nobody in California drives even close to the speed limit. So in order to adjust for the amount of Californians that just disregard the speed limit as a law, you would have to say, well, you can't go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. Now, the obvious answer here would be, well, just raise the speed limit and make this thing at the speed limit. But again, we're talking to the numbskulls that run the state of California. They're not going to understand such a nuanced and complex solution to a relatively easy problem to solve if you wanted to solve it like that. Gavin Newsom, to his credit, vetoed a similar measure approved by the legislature in 2019. The bill text says drivers will also be able to temporarily override the technology when in certain areas. Safety vehicles like fire, police, and ambulances would be exempt from that, which would only make sense. But the bottom line is, California can't figure out the easiest of problems to solve in its decrepit, failing state, and this is what we're going to institute here. Now again, I am all for less traffic accidents, but I don't think that this is going to have the effect that they think it's going to. They cite this TRIP, the National Transportation Research Group, found that traffic fatalities in California increased 22% from 2019 to 2022, compared to 19% for the U.S. overall. Another study from the California Office of Traffic Safety, researchers found that from 2017 to 2021, 1/3 of all traffic fatalities statewide were speeding related. Okay, this is where I have to nitpick with this. If you're just accounting for speed and no other variables, and you were able to prove that speed and speed alone were the things that caused the most fatalities, and I would have to say even more than 50%, not a third of all traffic fatalities, but if you were able to do that, then you could start to convince me to get on board with the state governing how fast you drive with a little chip in your car, which again is an insane thing to even think about. The problem here is, though, that over this course of this 4-year period, 2017 to 2021, it says 1/3 of all traffic fatalities statewide were speeding related. Like I said, if it was speeding and speeding alone, and it was over 50%, you might have a case to put some sort of computer chip in people's cars to make them go slower. I would still be against it, but I could see the argument at least. The problem when you have fatalities statewide were speeding related, well, what else were they doing? Were they texting and driving? Were they scrolling through Instagram? Were they posting a mean comment on Reddit? Were they writing a letter longhand to grandma while sitting in the passenger seat? I would be willing to bet that of the 1/3 of fatalities that had speed-related deaths in them, there's going to be other variables going on in there, which probably means that the 100% attributed to speed and speed alone is going to be very, very, very small and not even worth putting any sort of effort into crafting any legislation that would curb this in any way, shape, or form. What you really need to do is change the society at a level in which people respect the rule of law, which is something California is not good with. The last thing I want to get to is the first thing that we read. It is a part of the Safer California Streets legislation package. That's what it is. It's safety. Just FYI, Prop 47, Prop 57. Sorry, AB 109, Prop 47, and Prop 57. Prop 47 and Prop 57 were voted on in the state by California voters. They were labeled the California Safety and Schools Funding Legislation Package for whatever. And in reality, it wasn't at all about safety and schools. It was about making crime not crime anymore. Prop 47 lowered the amount of money that needed to be, it raised the amount of money that would constitute as a felony over a misdemeanor. It basically decriminalized crime, but it wasn't called the decriminalized crime legislation. No, it was called the Safe Schools and Public Health Communities Act, or some BS like that. And in reality did the exact opposite of what it was named. So I haven't thought deeply enough about it to figure out what the ulterior motive here is, but there's no way that if a bill is called the Safer California Street legislation package, that is going to really have anything to do with it's really going to have anything to do with making the streets safer. Really all it is probably another power grab, again by a weirdo guy named Scott Weeder in San Francisco.